peace and love, family. I'm gonna do a little story time with y'all today. I'm try to get through it. I'm still trying to get used to the social media video type stuff. I'm really a laid back, behind the scenes type of person naturally, but times is different. I got to get with the program, so I'm out here trying to get with it and everything, and we're gonna get through this story together. But I think it's important for y'all to listen to, man, because it's a story on why I would never get a dog without paperwork again, right? And it starts with like 12 years ago. I had this dog named Rudy, which I got from somebody who took an original pit bull bloodline, like 20 to 30 pounders, before they even start mixing them with the American Bulldog so that the handlers can handle them. Like, she was original. And then they actually had an American Bulldog that was super dope as far as muscle tone, bone structure, coat temperament, and they brought them together. They created my Rudy, which was like, she was like a human. Like, I used to watch movies with her. She was great with kids. Even when we went to play with her, she got aggressive, and she was just really competitive, and like, she just had all of these dope characteristics about her that I loved. And everywhere I would go with her, people were asking me about her, like, hey, yo, is she ever gonna have puppies? Or everybody wanted me to breed her, and I'm like, nah, I'm not really into breeding her right now. It's just my baby, so so many people start asking me, and I got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I might just breed her. So I end up seeing a blue dog one day that was official. Muscle tone was good, big head. And I asked him about him, like, would you ever breed him? He was like, yeah, most definitely. So when she went in her second heat, we made it happen. And so the litter, she ended up having like 16 puppies. And out of those 16, Taz was a female that I kept, which was blue, and her blue was so beautiful, it like almost looked purple. And the male that I wanted to keep was also blue, but half of his face was blue, the other half was white. He had one blue eye, one green eye. His pattern was super dope. But what I liked about him the most was he was like the leader of the puppies. He was the first one that would come and like kind of protect them. And I also liked his bone structure and his fat, like, because he looked more like an English bulldog compared to everybody else. Everybody else came out real muscled up. He had like this extra fat to him. So, and he was taller than most of the puppies in the litter. So I wanted to keep him close. So I told my cousin about him. He seen him. He was like, yes, I definitely want him. So he keeps him. I keep Taz, the girl. Fast forward, Taz second heat, she about ready to go and everything. So I'm gonna hit her soon, but I'm waiting for it to come. But in the meantime, I goes over to a cousin's house just to go check on him. And when I go to his house, I'm at the gate and I see a dog running up. And then as he's getting closer, I'm looking at the patterns like, oh, that's Beano. And as he gets all the way up to the gate, I'm looking at him like, wow, he grew to be amazing. And what I didn't think was, I thought he was going to be tall because he was bigger than all of the dogs in the litter, but he actually ended up real short. He sat low, but his head was wide. He had a wide bone structure. His chest was wide. Muscle tone was great. Beautiful coat, great temperament. And I was just like, oh man, that was amazing to see him again. I was like, wow. And when I look at what's going on with the micro game right now, which I really, really love what y'all got going on right now. And as far as the creation and the ABKC and all of that stuff, because it's dope to be able to really create and not just, we want to stay within inside the standards and all of that, but at the same time, we definitely want to create. So it's beautiful to see that. But yeah, he would have definitely been something serious with the micro game. And the game is crazy because boys getting like 20-30 racks right now with the right blood, and man, I think he would have been able to bump with them boys when it come to that as far as how he looked. So I was like, man, that is crazy. So now Taz, which is Rudy's daughter, she about to go in heat. So as this dude who lived close to me. You know, he owed me a favor and everything. So he really didn't want to breed his dog, but he was like, yo, you know, he wanted to return the favor or whatever. So I'm like, oh, listen, man, you ain't even got to worry about nothing. You don't owe me nothing. All I want you to do is breed your dog to me, man. That's all I want you to do, and you're going to get pick of the litter, man. He was like, say no more. You know what I mean? I got you. You know, this dude, he had a bloodline from out of Atlanta, man. His dog was like over 100 pounds, man. Beautiful, man. Fawn. But the body was just so brolic. I was like, yo, I gotta throw him with my blue girl. So they did it. They made it happen, man. A nice litter came out of it. And one dog that stuck out to me out of that litter was a milk chocolate. You know, she was blue eyes. I'm sorry, I said she, but he had blue eyes, and he was milk chocolate, man. And I loved everything about this dog. I thought he was something special, man. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna keep him, you know. And I ended up having one of the girls that I was dealing with at the time who wanted a dog, and she was like, she'll keep him for me, because, you know, I was out here ripping and running and everything. So she said she'll keep him. I was like, you know what, that's what's up. So she was going to raise him. I was going to be able to see him grow and all that. But me and her ended up falling out because she was too extra for me. And I'm like, too messy for what I got going on. Can't have that in my cipher. Nothing but positive energy. I can't have none of the negativity around me. So we ended up cutting our ties. I ended up seeing her 2 years later. And she was like, hey, I need you to come by and look at a house for me, because I'm a carpenter. We both in the real estate. So she like, yo, I want you to take this look at this house and tell me what you think. So I go over to the house. She closes the door, and the windows, the wall vibrate, and I'm like, the hell? I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, all right, you know, we start walking up the stairs. Then I heard this big bark, and the same thing, windows vibrate, walls vibrate. I'm like, what the hell? What you got in there? And she started laughing like, that's Jersey. I'm like, nah, that ain't Jersey. That ain't the dog from that litter. Nah, ain't no way that's him. And she's like, yeah, that's Jersey. So she opens up the door. I walk in. I go look in the kitchen. He do it one more time. Whoa. I'm talking my floor vibrating, the walls, everything. I'm like, wow, this man is a monster. And I'm like, looking at him like, man, I never seen a dog in person this big. Like, never. Like, not from a bully bloodline, never. So, you know, I mean, she had him in a large cage, and he was like ducking in that joint. And I'm like, man, like, just his head was like the size of my torso. His body, and it was crazy because his dad was like chunky, like 100 pounds something, but he was just muscular, over 100 pounds, and his height was way bigger than his dad. And I was just like, wow, man. And when I look at the Hawk now, I'm like, man, I would love to have seen them side by side, because he was really that big. And, you know, you look at the Hawk litters, man, and you know, what he's worth. And I'm like, man, I knew when I was selling my puppies, because back where I'm from, around that time, you can't sell no dogs without paperwork for over $300, you know. But me, I was still selling mine for $5 and $6. I used to tell people, like, listen, if you come and see these dogs, you're not going to leave without one, I promise you. And people used to come, and they used to be like, yo, you was not lying. These are beautiful. I went and seen 3 different litters. None of them could compare. Like, yes. And they used to give me the money so fast and run to the door, like, he make sure I don't change my mind, you know. And I used to always feel like, man, I should have never been selling my dogs for that type of money, man, because it was like, I feel like I was beating myself. You know, it was horrible, because I was really coming out with super dope. I mean, the great temperaments. I mean, these dogs was great. You know, as far as training, as far as just natural intelligence, the colors and the patterns was just amazing. Everything about them was fire. So it was like, yo, I just felt like I was beating myself in the head. And, you know, ever since then, I said I would never, ever, ever, ever buy a dog without paperwork, because you definitely, you know, you definitely want that value. You want to keep that value. You want to make sure that, you keep that legacy that's behind it. That's why it's important to me, because you can go ahead and do what you want to do, but you never will be able to create what you could create with the proper paperwork. So I would never, ever get another dog without paperwork. All right. And I never tell y'all to like and subscribe, but please do, man. Show your boy some love. Like I said, I'm gonna get used to this. I'm gonna make sure that, while I'm on here, I'm giving y'all, good information. And I want to try to make it as entertaining as I can in the future. Right now, I'm just getting used to being on camera. So, I just want y'all to show me some love. All right? Peace and love, family.